Singapore will start moving on increasing its goods and services tax in next year's government budget as it emerges from COVID-19. In his New Year message, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong says that the GST hike will mean reliable and sufficient funds for expanding the healthcare system and support schemes for the elderly. At the same time, he is urging unity as it faces more challenges as a country together in the coming year.
2021 was another year living with COVID-19. But with Singapore's GDP set to grow between 3 and 5% and borders reopening again in 2022, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong is calling it a year of transition. And as the economy emerges from the pandemic, he says it's time to start moving on a proposed goods and services tax hike in the upcoming budget. He adds that the broad-based tax will mean reliable and adequate revenues for social programs like healthcare and support for older Singaporeans. He says that while those who are better off should contribute a large share, everyone needs to shoulder at least a small part of the burden. Budget 2022 will therefore lay what he calls the basis for sound and sustainable government finances for the next stage of Singapore's development. The hike from 7% to 9% was previously announced in 2018 and previously delayed to sometime between 2022 and 2025 in light of the pandemic. Over the last 2 years, nearly $50 billion of reserves were drawn down to dole out support packages to save jobs and livelihoods. The government had also said it is committed to rebuilding the coffers for future crises. Mr. Lee says the country has so far weathered COVID-19 without a significant loss of lives. Even as it braces for a new wave of Omicron cases, the healthcare system has become more resilient and more people are vaccinated. And so the immediate tasks go beyond managing COVID-19. It wants to create new jobs and a prosperous economy, with plans to double down on new growth areas such as going green and digital. It will also continue on industry transformation and support workers to upgrade their skills. At the same time, the Prime Minister called for more unity. The pandemic was a crucible of fire for this generation, and standing united was important. He says people must work to strengthen a common identity and consensus as norms evolve. To solidify the social compact, the government will enhance safety nets for those in need, including care for mental health needs and the elderly. Mr. Lee adds that through the pandemic, people saw the need to make tough choices and accept hard policies for the common good. He says this unity of purpose and fortitude of spirit will help build a country where everyone has a place, with no one left behind.
Well, one economist says that the timing of the GST hike is a sign that the economy is looking up and becoming more stable.
It basically signals confidence on the part of the government that the economy is on far more firmer ground. There is more room for the government to say, okay, things are far better now. We need to continue to ensure that the tax burden is fair on everyone, not just one particular segments will contribute to the sort of broad government spending for the year. So in a sense, it's just ensuring that the tax base is evenly distributed.
Well, he adds that the GST hike will help the government diversify and boost its streams of revenue, as relying on state investments alone is unsustainable. But he says that there'll be impact on lower income groups, and so a substantial and long period of government transfers may be necessary.
If you're small income, 7% or 9% of a small income takes more out than, say, 9% if you have a far larger base of income. So this is where we always have transfer in terms of government knowing that low income will be more affected by consumption tax. There's a transfer, not direct cash transfer, but more of a rebate in terms of you may have to pay a lot less for your daily expenses, whether it is through the monthly conservancy charges, etc.